Hey YouTube, we're back with another deck tech cyborg guide gameplay, explanations, all that shenanigan stuff. This time we're playing, StrixHaven just released, and we're playing this blue-black Yorion deck in the standard best of three ladder, and it's been doing really well. So prior to StrixHaven, let me show you. So prior to StrixHaven, I was running this one, and this one's really good because it runs, I believe, no Kaldheim cards, or so this one is running no Kaldheim cards, I believe. Let me see if I don't think there's anything Kaldheim here. So, but yeah, so if you don't have Kaldheim, then you could just be running this deck and you're fine. Like this deck for me prior to Strixhaven coming out, it's I think it was like 5-1 or something like that. So this is a solid deck. So if you want to play this deck, I didn't want to do a deck tech or a gameplay cyborg guide for this deck because Strixhaven's out and people want to play with stuff maybe with Strixhaven. But if you don't have Kaldheim cards or Strixhaven deck, you should probably play this deck. It's a very solid deck. It got me to Mythic easily. As you can see, oh no, cancel. It got me to Mythic. You'll see in the gameplay that I easily made it to Mythic. And like I said, we play this in from Diamond, and then we discard changes. I don't know what changed. We swapped from that deck to this deck since Strixhaven came out. Okay, that should go here. And this one you'll see in the video easily made it from Diamond to Mythic. I'm undefeated with both versions. When you combine the two versions together, the deck is undefeated right now. I am currently with this version. I'm currently 6-0 with. So in the other version, I'm not sure if I had a loss, but I believe I'm undefeated there. That one had like I think it's 5-0 or 6-1. But this is a very good deck. If you don't, and like here we go. So this is only running one Professor Knox and two Test of Talents from Strixhaven, and it got me to Mythic easily. So, and then from Kaldheim, it's running nothing from Kaldheim. So from the last two sets, you have one Mythic and two uncommons. The rest of every single other card here is from the last, 3 sets ago. So that's how low powered so far the new sets have been. Obviously Kaldheim is strong, but for this deck, it doesn't really need Kaldheim. But yeah. So this is the deck. I'm just gonna give you a quick, because you might be seeing some cards that are kind of wonky. You're like, why is that in the deck? And so I'm gonna give you a quick guide to the deck real fast before we go into the matches. So, obviously you have Cling against the Rogue decks. The same for Strokes here against the Control, Sultai Ultimatum decks. Essence Scatter, you're going to need this against the Temur Adventure, the white mono white red decks and stuff like that. Jordan's Disruptions, a counterspell against the bigger, decks, whatever, the Sultai decks. Worst case scenario, it's a land. I got 2 negates in there against the Temur Adventure, Sultai Ultimatum decks. Obviously, when you're playing against like mono white and the mono red decks, you cut these and whatnot. 4 omens, you're playing Yorion, you're gonna blink it. The removal package is eliminates Heartless Axe. I'm also running Drown on the Log here because since I'm countering a lot of cards or destroying a lot of cards, I'm playing 2 Drown on the Logs because it could be played as both sides, either a counter spell or a kill spell. 4 Made My Tom in any hard control deck. This card is amazing. I would recommend running 4 of these in any hard control deck. And clearly, this is a hard control deck. 4 Neutralized. Like I said, so the new Kaldheim card is Saw It Coming. You can foretell it and then play it for 2. But I'm trying to build it where you have no Kaldheim slash, barely any Strixhaven cards. So that way it's kind of like a budget-ish deck for players who are playing and they don't have to craft a bunch of new cards if they don't have wild cards and whatnot. They can just play the old cards that they already have possibly and just play it. You can swap this to Saw It Coming, but I like it for the cycle mechanic, and like I said, it's an older card. So it's up to you, it's your preference, but Neutralize is perfectly fine so far. I haven't done Neutralize, has not been a dead card for me, where Saw It Coming could possibly be a dead card. So, but I'm on the theme of old sets, not new sets. So that's the thing, with the exception of Onyx and 2 Tested Talents. So Necromantia is there against the Sultai Ultimatum deck. This card has been MVP in the main deck against Sultai Ultimatum decks. Like, I play it, call out Emergent Ultimatum, and then what do? I can easily counter all their 1-for-1s with my counter spells. I just can't let them play 2 spells in the same turn. I've won so many games with this card calling Emergent Ultimatum. It's one in the deck. It's not going to be, it's not going to get in your way against the other matchups. If you're playing against aggro, obviously it sucks against aggro, but you have enough removal that it shouldn't get to the point where it becomes a card that kills you. So I would recommend this card in the main deck. I wouldn't recommend more than one. I would leave it at one because it's good enough. You could counter enough cards against the Sultai Ultimatum, then draw this and then use it. So love this card against the Sultai Ultimatum decks, because Sultai Ultimatum deck is obviously the most popular deck. For Extinction Event, obviously against the creature decks, the Temur Adventure, you could call out Odd. Solemn because we're running Ugin, so I want to be ramping. It's a troll spell. And then my win conditions here, obviously it's Crawling Barrens, but we have Solemn. But our main win conditions here are Ashiok. Professor Onyx, like especially for this deck, it's a very good card. You cast this, the Magecraft ability should just win you the game. On top of that, it gets you card advantage. It makes him sack. If you get to the emblem, you win the game, or the -8. I love this card, but like I said, we're trying to keep it in the theme of older cards. That's why I'm not running multiple copies of this. I'm only running one. So if you have one Mythic, you can just craft it and you're good to go. So we're doing it that theme. 1 Sea Gates, lands, a possible draw spell, and then 3 Ugin. So that's the deck. The lands are pretty basic. I'm still running the old Crawling Barrens win condition. I'm not running no snow lands and playing the Faceless Haven. You could go that route, but once again, theme is no Kaldheim / StrixHaven stuff. So this is the deck. It's doing very solid so far. Let's get into the matches and see how much more we could do with it. So let's go into the gameplay. All right, let us go play some standard rank. See if we can do what we could do. Some cracks. Let's see if we're playing up against Esteban Gomez. See if we play against a lot more Yorion decks, I guess. We've been playing against a lot of Yorion decks recently since the set released, but there's a lot of Yorion decks prior to that too, because of Sultai Ultimatum. So, well, we have 2 lands, Essence Scatter, Eliminate. I'm gonna keep because I can put this on black. Oh no, we're playing against that one deck, eh? I'm assuming this is that one deck. By that one deck, I saw someone post something about like a turn 4 kill, but maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just red-black. All right, we need more lands, and that's a bad card to draw against this deck. Let's see what happens. I'm taking 1. Yep. So they probably have a village rights because it's a pause constantly. So, if they're not casting any, see, there's either village rights or they have like Omen. Not Omen, but Stomp. Okay, so there's lands. I guess we have to keep them both. Because we need at least 4 to 5 lands. So I'm gonna put this on blue, and we're gonna pass. See what he does. He still didn't do anything. I might at end step go ahead and kill it. Ooh, maybe not anymore. Maybe not anymore. Let's see what happens. I need them to try to play something, but if they're not doing anything, this is gonna be odd. All right. So this is odd. This is even, so that doesn't work. So we have to use scatter here. If they were both the same, then ooh, that was a good draw. If they were both the same, I would have just left it and used Extinction Event, but since they're different, I had to use Essence Scatter there. Okay, now they can animate that's fine. I get to actually kill it, so that's good. So we get to kill this, and play Omen in the same turn. Then we could possibly play Ashiok. Fireblade Charger, that's good. We have Extinction Event on odd now. Alright. 2 lands again seems fine, especially since we're gonna play Extinction Event. I'm gonna keep it. So I'm gonna play the Scry land. Eliminate seems fine, and I'm an Extinction odd. Get rid of both of them. And then we have Ashiok here to deal with what he casts, or we can use Eliminate or use Extinction Event. We could grab Yorion back to our hand, hold up, eliminate. You know, there's a bunch of things we could do here. Okay. So I think I'm gonna grab Yorion to hand. Put this on blue and pass turn. I could play this and call out, say maybe something like Crux of Fate. Or not Crux of Fate, but Cruxa. And just kind of see what kind of deck they're playing with. Maybe I should have done that since we were looking pretty good. So Shadow's Verdicts, Erebos, and I think Nightmare seems fine. Don't think we want the rest. The Mystical Dispute, Talents, Glimpse. Shark Typhoons might be a little too weak, so I don't think we want that. I think I'm going to cut the Negates, because I didn't really, definitely cutting the Necromentia. I'm cutting the Negates because I didn't really see, I mean, they probably had, so like they have 3 cards in their, 4 cards in their hand. They probably have spells in their hand right now, but we don't know what spells they are, so I'm not going to keep in Negates in that case. I could cut a Stroke here, because they only casted 1 4 cost or higher. For the rest of the thing, it was just kind of low end cost. Ugin's good, Seagate, Professor Nox, Shadow's Verdict, Ashiok, Solemn Extinction, Nightmare, Neutralize. I may just cut the last stroke as well. I think that's what we do. We just cut the last stroke. I want to keep Clinging in case, like I said, Cruxa. I'm sure if they're in black-red, there has to be Cruxa in the deck, you know? Especially with the creatures they were running, there has to be Cruxa. So we could use Cling as a life gain mechanic / removal on Cruxa or something like that. So let's see. The funny thing about this deck is I've been running the version with no Kaldheim or StrixHaven cards in the deck. So I had 0 copies of both Kaldheim and StrixHaven cards in the deck, and I'm 4-0 with that deck. So it's just kind of hilarious. This one only has, what is it, the Onyx, and then the 2 cards in the sideboard from StrixHaven. Otherwise, it has no other cards from Kaldheim or StrixHaven. So 3 cards from the last 2 sets, and it's doing this well. So if you haven't crafted any of the new cards yet, this is a very solid deck to craft, because you don't need anything really from the last 2 sets. The last 2 sets, it uses 2, I think, uncommons with Test of Talents, I believe is uncommon, and 1 Onyx, which is a mythic. Man, this hand would have been amazing if I had lands. Alright, we gotta keep this one. Crap. I guess I have to bottom the Fable Passage, because then I have a 2-3-4 play. And, hope for they hit the land, I guess. Alright. Oh, because it's a snow land for the Haven? Sure. Sure. Okay, there's our land. So I'm going to play Omen. Depending on what he plays, I might just play... okay. 2, 4, 5, 6. So I think I'm going to Omen here just so he doesn't hit something strong. I could put something on top so he doesn't hit something strong. So... I think Solemn is fine. I think I'll give him Erebos, because I don't really care. Yeah, let's do that. So I'll draw Solemn, give him Erebos, because I'm going to turn 3 Nightmare and then turn 4 Solemn to grab another black, so I could turn 5 Shadow's Verdict. So you can have Erebos here. We'll take 5. Taking the 5 is not the good part, but you know. And then we're gonna use Nightmare to kill this off. Well, that was a good. That's not a good draw, but I was gonna put this either on one or the other. But since we drew the black source, I'd rather play the black first because then I could put this on blue or black this side, you know, later. Taking 5, it's not great, but now we get to look at their hand and see what they're working with. We have Extinction Event also. This is even, so if he casts the one guy, I mean, they can sack this, I guess, to make their guy indestructible so it doesn't get exiled. The 4-drop, whatever the, forgot what the name of it is, but that guy. That's the guy I was talking about. So he could prevent this from being exiled. Ooh, he has 0. All right, so wow, his hand's actually pretty good. Because, like, there's not much I can do here. He's going to cast Rankle next turn. Hit me for 3/6. I'm wondering if I just use Solemn here, but I could use Extinction, get rid of both. I have another Extinction. He's gonna cast Rankle. I mean, I guess I also have this too. Yep, I have to do Extinction, I believe. He has a sack now, and I mean, there's no reason not to sack here, but he has a sack now. Because once I call the odd or even, it goes through. But he's just going to sack, so that way Skyclave doesn't get exiled. Yep. But the other thing is, all right, so even, the other thing is, if he doesn't cast it this turn, then Nightmare exiles it. But if he's going to play Rankle, then he can't cast this guy. So that's the other reason why I did what I did. But now he can just, I guess, cast it. But then that's also good for me because then that means he's not casting a Rankle or something, you know? And I also still have a Shadow's Verdict, so I can still technically do... Yep. All right. So we're going to play Solemn to ramp. Probably need Ugin. I mean, not Ugin, but I probably need that guy in my hand soon. I'm gonna put this on black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably need that in my hand. Maybe I should just grab that. That way I can start blocking. So he's gonna do it on this. Hit me for 6. Okay. Not looking good. It's not looking good. Yep. So take action. Okay. Let's see what modes he chooses though. 3, 6. Sure, he's gonna do like draw discard effect. Each person discards. I have to give up this, I guess, because these cards are just too good. Professor Knox. All right, so even. Maybe I should have gave up the Ugin so I could have cast my... I could have grabbed Yorion to hand. But then I can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Krexa. Yeah. Oh, he drew Village Rites? That's pretty sick. He drew Village Rites, huh? Alright. Guess we gotta give this up. Because there's a pause here, so there's his Village Rites. That's sick. That's sick. Alright. Well, it's looking bad for us right now. Oh, we lost the game, I guess, because of the Faceless Haven. That's another Village Rites, huh? Oh, I should have... Why did I discard Eliminate? And this is another Village Rites because there's another pause here. We just lose to this, right? So there's no point of showing them anything else. Let's see if I would have done this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. And we're just dead to Faceless Haven. I should have kept the Eliminate. That was stupid of me. I should have discarded the Ugin. Yep. Yeah, that's game. That was dumb. Could have survived, but that was my fault. Alright, so we gotta see more of their deck. They have shadows. So this looks like maybe this doesn't really hit anything. Maybe I'm not supposed to leave that in. Maybe I'll cut one. Bring a Shark Typhoon in so I can use like as a cycle mechanic. Alright, let's try that. Obviously, I do want to exile the graveyard. I mean, I didn't play optimal that game, so that's also my fault. Discarding the Eliminate was very bad. I guess I have to keep this hand because I have removal. That's not great though. But I have Extinction Event also. So if I put this, let's see if I do this first. What am I gonna grab with this? I want to do Fable Passage before I scry, because then what's the point of scrying and then cracking your deck? You know? So let's do this. I'll grab black with this. I'll grab black. Grab black. Play the blue. Hold up Heartless Act. And then maybe I'll grab Yorion to hand, or maybe I'll play Temple to see. This depends on what we draw. Well, there's also Duress, I guess. So, okay then. I'm assuming he takes Ashiok here. Wow, he took Extinction Event. Interesting. Interesting. He took Extinction Event. Guess I'll grab Yorion then. What does he have that he took Extinction Event? I mean, he's not afraid of Ashiok winning the game or something, or I'm sure he has like Robber the Rich now. Skyclave Shade. I guess that's why, because it could just keep coming back. That's hilarious that he's running this. Let's see. So I scry here. I don't want that. And then we'll have Heartless Act to kill it, play Ashiok to create a dude, and go from there, I guess. 2, 4, Robber the Rich. Sure. We'll just go ahead and kill this. I don't want him to be hitting too many cards off the top of my deck. I'll take the 3 here. I'll play the Ashiok plus it. So we got 2 black. I don't think we need more. We have 3 blue. 2 black, 3 blue. I mean, we could cast all their things. So let's just play this. Let's play Ashiok. I'm gonna plus here. That way he can't kill, hopefully, Ashiok. And we create a body. Next turn, I can do Elspeth's Nightmare, hold up, eliminate, and then possibly do minus on Ashiok to take another card out of their hand while we have a token. Or we could just create the token and play Nightmare and hold eliminate. So we have a couple of different plays. All depends on what they do here. So if he plays, let's say, a Cruxa, I gotta think about what to give up. I think what I give up here, it's maybe Nightmare, but no, maybe not. Maybe, oh, that's actually tough, because he is feeding the graveyard, so that is good for me. Another Skyclave Shade. That's why he took Extinction. He doesn't want these Skyclave Shades to disappear. I mean, if you attack, I'm blocking. This is easy block. I'm like easily just blocking this. Ugh, 2 lands. I wanted them to draw that. It's 4 in the graveyard. Oh, we needed a land. I would have loved to have a land there. But would have loved to draw a land there. Alright, so he has 2 cards in his hand. If I would have had another land in play, I could have played Solemn, Hold Up, Eliminate. But if I play this on this, he just sacks the Scry. So it doesn't really help me out there. I think I just have to do this. Grab a land. I guess I'll grab black since I have 4 blue now. This also helps me ramp so I can get possibly to an Ugin sooner if I do end up drawing Ugin. It's also putting another body on the board, so I need black. Let's go ahead and plus this. We have 2 bodies. We have a draw spell here if it dies. So what does he know from my hand? So he knows these 2. If he plays, so what is Rankle? Yeah, alright. I was worried about Rankle. That's why I was debating on Yorion. But, well, now we get to do a bigger line of play, I guess. I mean, I'm just going to be blocking. Yeah, I was like, I'm just going to be blocking it all. That's actually a little better for us, though. So now I can minus on the Woe Strider. So him not doing that, it's a little better. Because now I could technically minus the Woe Strider, force him to discard, exile a card, play Yorion, blink. So we'll go ahead and bounce this. There's 4 in there. Let's see, force him to exile a card out of his hand. Gave up Woe Strider. Interesting. Then we get to play this. Blink the Solemn and the Ashiok. Yeah, no attacks. Take action. Let's grab a blue mana. Now we have, once again, we have 3 bodies, and Ashiok's back to 5. And he lost the card out of his hand. And sent 3 damage to Ashiok. Obviously, Ashiok being at 7, you can emblem it, so he had to do that. So 4, 5, 6, 7. If you draw another land, I can hard cast a Shark Typhoon, would be pretty nice. He has Village Rites in his hand. Guess we just give up this. Oh, he doesn't have Village Rites in his hand. I gave up the Adrenaline Lock because he's going to exile his graveyard soon. So, like, doesn't help me out. There's no... Don't attack. Don't attack. Okay, I don't really care about that one. I don't know why you're attacking. This doesn't have Death Touch. Yeah. I was like, I have Yorion. It's a flyer. What are you thinking here? Jeez. I could still block with Yorion to your Skyclave. Okay, we drew another drone in the lock. So he has to exile, what, 5 cards, right? There's only 4, so you can't do it yet. So 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cards, huh? So we could do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or I could just hard cast this and take a turn off. That might be better. Hard casting this, take a turn off. I could also bounce the Woe Strider back. Bounce the Woe Strider back again, make him exile a card, but I don't think that's right. So if I create another token here, I think I should just hard cast this. Because if I don't lose here, then I get to play like all these cards and then start making a bunch of dudes. He has to start scrying now with Will Strider. Why is he needing scrying? Okay. Well, that doesn't have haste, so that's fine. I can also bounce it with Ashiok. Neutralize. Alright, we'll keep it. Bounce this back. Force him to exile a card out of his hand. Ooh, he gave up the Ox. This card's kind of dead in my hand. No attacks. Alright. I'm just gonna hold up Eliminate and drown on the lock, I guess. Duress. That was a good draw. That was a pretty good draw. That was a really good draw. Because now you can bring Cruxa back. So if I use this, kill Woe Strider. That's a little unfortunate. Kill this. I guess I just have to start getting aggressive against him then. I guess I should have played my hand out then. Huh. Last turn? Sure. Because then his Duress would have missed. And then we'll just go ahead and... I could counter it or destroy this. But I think I'm going to destroy Rankle. And let him take Nightmare out of my hand. And then I'm going to start getting in the air against them, I guess. Start getting aggressive. He gets to bring Cruxa out. I have no cards in my hand. I mean, I have enough blockers. He can only do it once. Sure. I mean, that stops me from doing stuff, but... Alright, so I think we're just going to attack with Yorion here, because I have these two hold back. He can't block it. I mean, he could block it, I guess. Oh, and he makes it a 4-5, I guess. That's fine. That's fine. Doesn't kill it. And then I can Ashiok it again off the field, I guess. It says sacrifice another creature, gains indestructible, tap it. Sure. We have the two flyers to block the Predator. We also have Bone Crusher. I guess I have to counter that, right? Because then he can't cast anything else. And it takes it away out of the adventure zone. I created 3/3 off it. Now he's just stuck with whatever's on the board right here. And then I could chump block and then remove the Predator off the field. I could even double block and force him to sack this. So I could send these two to block it, force him to sack the Skyclave Shade, then I could remove it from the... Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to put a clock on him. So force him to sack the Skyclave Shade. He can't bring it back because he doesn't have a land in his hand. And then he's just going to be left with this. I'm going to Ashiok it back and exile out of his hand and then just attack with everything else. Yep. Oh, Professor Knox. Get this out of here. Let's see what we hit with Professor Knox. Ooh, let's see. If he plays Croxa, I have to give up the cards. I'm just gonna grab Castle. I mean, Ugin obviously is the best line of play here, but we're just gonna. I mean, we should win because this is a 2-turn clock. Like, I mean, unless he draws a board wipe, this should be game. Yeah, you could Cruxa, sure. He left Skyclave Shades in there. I guess he didn't. All right, there it is. Nice. All right, let's the bandwagon. Keep going. Let's keep playing the blue-black Yorion deck. Blue-black Yorion. It's been an amazing deck for me so far. Flowers. Oh, flowers. Flowers, this is our win it in, man. Wow. I guess I'll keep oh no, it's against Gruul. This is a bad keep. Flowers, don't do it to me, man. That's a bad card against them. Don't do it, Flowers. Whoa, is it Temur turns? Alright, so I think I have to play this. Because I don't know if I want this on black or not. This looks like it's Temur turns. So I might need the neutralize here. So we'll pass. I mean, obviously I need black also, but yep. All right, what do you got, opponent? What the heck can you do with the 2 mana you have right now? Are you going to try to set up a edge wall into a Love Struck piece or something? Oh, okay. Yep. Oh, yep. Let's see. Exile and a I could exile my own card actually, so that way we could counter. Oh man, I need a land. If this would have been a black source, we would have been really good shape. I don't know about really good shape, but we would have been in better shape, I should say. Unfortunately, I think I have to just put this on black. I mean, that means I don't get to play neutralize, but at least I get to cycle it worst case scenario. I just can't, you know what I mean? Because now I can Essence Scatter, say... Wow, he doesn't want to do anything, huh? Alright, I guess we're cycling this then. And then I'm going to cling my own neutralize. Okay. So we put this... I could play Maze Mind Tome and hold up Essence Scatter. That seems kind of good too. So if I'm going to grab blue regardless... I guess I go grab blue regardless then and play the Maze Mind Tome. Having the Maze Mind Tome will help if he doesn't play anything. I can do then... So let's do this. Alright, if he plays nothing, then we can use the Tome effect. If he plays something, we can then use like Essence Scatter on his creature. Brazen Borrower, sure. We have to take the damage from Brazen Borrower, unfortunately. I'm assuming he has a counter spell now at the ready. Edge Wall. Got to counter this, or he's just going to draw a card for free. But now he also gets to play a 5/5. So I'm looking for Extinction Event. Boom. But I'm also looking for lands, but, you know. This is most likely Outrun's Epiphany here. Let's hope it's not. Let's hope he doesn't get to play Elrond's Epiphany. Bone Crusher, sure. They got the scry, look for lands. Gotta look for lands. Okay, we drew a land. That's good. So I can use eliminate. Yeah, let's just pass. Can use eliminate on Bone Crusher here and hold up Essence Scatter Omen. So let's pretend like we have a removal or a counter spell. So I'm tapping the way I'm tapping to make it think I have a counter spell. Okay, see that's so that might be his counter spell then. He's debating on countering, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Nice. One, two, three, four, five. All right, we're just gonna pass. Actually, I think I'm gonna play Solemn. Actually, what am I thinking? Yeah, I'm gonna play Solemn. I have a lot of 2-mana plays that I can still hold up with Solemn. Take action, grab blue, and it helps us ramp as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It also prevents this 1/1 from constantly attacking us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'm gonna just draw. I was gonna save it for Yorion, but I'm at 9, so I think I need to gain a little bit of that life back. Should I Necromancia here to try to take away, say, Alrund's Epiphany just to be safe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 mana. Or I could just play another Solemn. If I use this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You have 4 cards in the graveyard. He has that. I could just hold it also. Okay, we're just gonna pass. No attacks. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. So the reason why I'm holding up all my mana maybe here is so I could play these 3 spells. I mean, I could have grabbed Yorion to my hand, but I can play, if he doesn't do anything, I can play Omen and put counters on this. So we're definitely going to counter that, hopefully. So black, blue, I guess. Let's play Essence Scatter. That's another card possibly calling with Necromancia here. Okay. So it's the Temur Churns deck, eh? Shadow's Verdicts are great against them. So I don't like Necromancia. So let me take cards out first before I decide what to bring in. So I don't like Necromancia, obviously. Cling to Dust doesn't do anything in this matchup. Negate is so-so. So maybe cutting one's fine. I'm not a fan of Nightmare in a sense because it's just creatures with Alrund's Epiphany and possibly what is it? A counter spell here. So we're bringing those in. Erebus, Mystical Dispute seems okay, but it's also not good. Because a lot of the creatures are going to be green, but the 1 mana counter spell against Alrund's Epiphany is pretty solid. If I bring in 2 of those. The good thing about this is if it counters the adventure side of their creatures, it removes all copies. So it removes a lot of their creatures. So that's pretty good. But I mean, if I draw it, so I guess maybe let's do this. Let's take the negate out, bring one of those in, since I'm going to keep one negate in. And maybe bring in the Erebos, because it's also another removal with life gain. All right, let's try that. Since I'm going to keep one negate in, I might as well have it be Test of Talents, because it's going to counter all the cards that I wanted to counter. Because I wanted to counter either their counter spells or their Alrund's Epiphanies. But now I can also counter their adventure side and remove all those copies. Well, this hand's not great. This is a little better. I guess at the bottom, Ashiok here. Yep. Grab blue, play this on black. Okay, well, so much for grabbing blue, huh? Mountain first play. All right. I think I'm gonna just do Maze Mind Tome here. I should probably I should have grabbed blue here actually, but that's a card. That's a card. But yeah, I should have grabbed blue because then I can't neutralize now. See, can't neutralize. That was dumb on my end. Oh my gosh, this is so many lands here. This is looking bad. I can cycle for 2, that doesn't do anything, so I guess I have to take the damage here. Jeez, we drew so many lands. If I would have countered this, we would have been in much better shape, but that was my mistake by not playing the Fable Passage first. I don't really need to counter. I don't need to sack that, so there's no point to. Holy moly. The land galore is here. We're gonna lose this game because we've drawn so many lands. This is hilarious. This... Oh my gosh. Alright, I'm gonna sack so I can cycle this. I mean, I give him a land now, but that's fine. I give him a land 2 turns now, but I can't just... Oh my gosh. Wow. Holy moly. That's crazy. Gotta discard a card, I guess. Sure. That's crazy how we drew nothing. We drew on like 8 lands in a row. 6. He goes to 7 mana. Holy Jeebus. You're gonna try to play Goldspan Dragon here? Yep. Alright. So 4, 5, 6. So if I try to counter it. What do you got? How many counter spells do you have? Yeah, and these don't do anything now. We would have been fine. We would have been still been at 20 here, but oh my gosh, another land. Wow. Come on, deck. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Come on, deck. Stop drawing so many lands, please. Bounce this, remove it. Then he attacks me for lethal. Alright. You're up. 4, 5, 6, 7. Can make a 5/5, I guess. But if he has a Brazen Borrow, we lose the game. So that resolves. If you have Brazen, I guess you win. We're at 2. Oh, I guess we're just dead regardless. Because of this guy. So since that's the case, we got to do this. So okay, let's use up all our black. Yep. Well, it buys me possibly a churn, so 3, so let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mystical Dispute. Okay, that's game. Oh, we would have been fine if I didn't if I played that right. We would have been fine if I played that right. I played that horribly. I'm trying to see if there's anything I want to change with the deck. Maybe the Stainful Stroke I cut. And I just, because I'm going to end up bringing Test of Talent and Mystical Dispute instead. Let's try that. We played that awful, man. We deserve that loss. I was supposed to play Fable Passage. That Bone Crusher was supposed to never get out into the field. All right, we'll keep. We have a kill spell, a Solemn Simulacrum. I don't think I need that. I have my lands. It's Love Structure. So put this on blue, Maze My Tome. I mean, this kind of sucks, but I guess I could kill a token. Taking 1. Man, that game 2, brutal. Brutal. So he only has Graying at the moment, so that's good for us, I guess. I'm sure he has another color in his hand, but he played that tap because obviously it comes in tapped. Yep. Sure. I'm just gonna go ahead and kill this now. I'm not gonna let him have a 5/5 on board. I'm fine with taking 1 here and there, you know. So Fable Passage first. So the front side, yeah, it's a 1 mana cost. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. You got it. All right, so do I want to crack Fable Passage? Sure. I have 2 blue. Do I need 1 more black? I think I need possibly 1 more black here. What the heck is he doing? Oh, he must have a Foretold spell or something, I'm assuming. Maybe he has a Brazen Borrower. Okay. My turn. I need to draw another land though, too. Colored land. All right, so blue, colorless. We'll go ahead and counter that and remove all Brazens. So his hand is just creatures. Okay, good to know. Opponent's library. Oh, I can't remove. Wait, in the deck. All right, so I guess I just get to look at his deck then. So he has 2 solid coming, Mystical Dispute. What the heck is this? Counter target non-creature spell and control. Oh, it's another counter spell. Okay, so I misplayed this. He has Tested Talents also. So it looks like he doesn't run Alrund's Epiphany in the deck. All right. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 counter spells. Okay, and search. He has 7 counter spells. See you below. Yep, counter that. Instant counter. Instant counter that. No ands, ifs, or buts about that. Draw. Okay. Add 3. Guess I'm just gonna grab you. No, I think I'm gonna hold up Maze Mind Tome and activate Calling Baron's effect kind of thing. Because currently, I mean, unless obviously I don't know the other 2 cards he drew, but he currently can't play anything. So we could do this to add counters on this, decline, and then we can do this to draw a card. And the next turn we can grab it. Ugin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The question is, how do they beat an Ugin? I mean, they could bounce it. And they can, I guess, attack through it. I guess I'm going to bottom that. We'll bottom that. I need another blue land, but okay. Go ahead. Sack. So he had 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe it was. 7 counter spells we have to worry about. Does he have a Brazen Borrower? Yep, he has Brazen Borrower. So 4 cards in here. This would be number 5. Okay. So that's number 5. That means we could counter it. I'm taking 1. You got it, opponent. You got it. The only bad part here is that his Ox is going to be able to kind of start refilling his hand as he starts playing all these cards. The Ox will start refilling his hand. So we have to counter this. Right, there's 5 cards in the graveyard. Yep. Because I don't want him to. I mean, he has land X. You know what I mean? All right, now we could grab Yorion to hand. And we could hold up Counterspell here. And like I said, I don't care. I'll take 1 again. But I want to reset the Maze Mind Tome. So 2 unknown cards, huh? Oops. Yeah, that's right. 2 unknown cards, huh? I could just try to win off this guy. What are the odds that he has 2 counter spells in his hand? I guess I should just go for it, I guess. All right. Ooh, I was about to not play my land. Go ahead. Reset the tome, redraw cards. We have a counter spell for this Ox. Let's draw. Let's start getting aggressive. We have we have 2 counter spells in our hand, draw power, another land. I'm just gonna get aggressive. All right, so let's draw a card. Let's put counters on this. Decline. Let's do it again. Decline. Let's cast Solemn. All right, boom! Easy Mythic. Easy Mythic. And this is a deck that has 3 cards from the last 2 sets. That's it. 3 cards from the last 2 sets. Easy Mythic. So if you don't have any of the new cards from the last 2 sets, I would recommend this deck. It is insane right now. Like, I would recommend this deck. Hey YouTube, welcome to the Sideboard guide. As you just saw in the matchups, we easily hit Mythic with this, and like as I said in the we're still undefeated. As I mentioned in the intro, I was undefeated, and I'm still undefeated with the deck. I have yet to drop a match, and we're doing very solid. So between, like I said, between the 2 versions of prior to StrixHaven and to this version where we have 3 StrixHaven cards in the deck is something like 11, 12, 0. Like, the deck is really good. It's perfect for the. I mean, I play control a lot, so it's perfect for the meta, in my opinion, because I play a control decks all the time, so I know how to pilot it very easily. So I would recommend this deck. So, I mean, like I said, I can, if you guys would like to have the other version where I run no Strixhaven and no Kaldheim cards in the deck, and it just runs everything, the sets before that, let me know in the comments below, and I could go ahead and do a deck tech video guide for that as well. That deck alone is probably 450 itself. This one is between 670 right now. So, but I'm posting this one because Strixhaven just released, and I want to make it a deck where you can play very minimal Strixhaven cards and still do well on the ladder. So, but if you want the older version, let me know, drop some comments below, and I can go ahead and post or make a video or just post a list of that deck as well. But go ahead and drop some comments on that, and let me know what happens. For all you new people watching, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you guys subscribe so you guys can see the future videos I post. But let's go ahead and get into the sideboard guide real quick. So the first one we're going to give a sideboard guide to is going to be a Sultai Ultimatum deck. And let me see where I can position this. There we go. So the first one you're going to see is Sultai Ultimatum. And obviously it's the big deck of the format, Sultai Ultimatum. But we already have a really good matchup in the main deck against them, minus, the eliminates, Heartless Axe, Extinction events. But having the main deck Necromancia helps us out a lot. So after sideboards, we get into a better position against them. We already have a good position. Again, I've 2-0'd almost all the Sultai Ultimatum decks so far with this deck. So I think maybe I think two of them where I won 2-1. But we already have, since we have so many counterspells, Disdainful Strokes, Dualities, Negates, Neutralize, as well as Nightmares, Necromancias. Like, we have so much against them. Oh, Drown in the Locks too, I forgot about that. That is a very good matchup for us, but it gets better at the sideboard. So against the Sultai Ultimatum decks, I bring in 2 Tested Talents. This card is very good against Sultai Ultimatum because you counter the first one or counter one Sultai Ultimatum, and then what the effect says is whatever instant or sorcery card you counter, you remove all copies in their hand, graveyard, deck, and then if they have any other copies in their hand, they get to draw a card for each one you exile. But you counter one and exile all copies out of their deck, graveyard, hand, everything. So you remove all 4 copies. And it's a 2-mana counter spell against all instants and sorceries. So this card's going to be great. You're going to see this a lot positive in the format moving forward. 2 Mystical Disputes, more counter spells. 1 Elspeth Nightmare, so we could look at their hand and take out the Sultai Ultimatum out of their hand, and then 4 Shark Typhoon, so that way we can close the game off and win the game, because they're probably going to take out the removal anyways, so creating like a 2/2 or 3/3 Shark should be usually good enough to just attack, counterspell, attack, counterspell, do that and win the game. So obviously against this matchup, I cut 3 Eliminates, 3 Heartless Acts, because I don't really run creatures other than, Pelucanos and Yorion. Out of sideboards, they're probably bringing in Coma, which is why we keep 2 Extinction events in the deck. We take out 2, but we keep 2 in. And I take out 1 Essence Scatter because, like I said, you also can't counter a Coma, but it can still counter Yorion and Pelucanos. So I keep 1 in just for that aspect. So I remove my removal cards and bring in counter spells, but I keep 2 Extinction events in against Coma. So that's what I do against Sultai Ultimatum. Now, if you're playing up against the mono white aggro deck, life gain deck, whatever you want to call it, the 2 versions, whatever, what I bring in is 3 Shadows Verdicts, 1 Erebos Intervention, and 1 Elspeth Nightmare. So what we're bringing in is just removal. The Shadows Verdict, obviously, because they're all 3 costs or less, all their creatures are 3 costs or less. You play this in exile, so it goes around Selfless Savior. It goes around the the Ailsid card, where it gives protection against the colors, so it just wipes the board. Erebos Intervention is a removal / life gain. It's also a good answer to Seasoned Hollowblade because it does minus counters, so it surpasses indestructibility. And then 1 Nightmare, because a lot of their creatures have 2 power or less. They run 8 1-drops that are 1/1s. So, and then 4 2-drops that are 1/1s that get to 2/2, and then if they put another counter on it, it becomes a 3/3. So you have a churn or 2 to kill it. And then what I cut from it is cards that are useless against them. So 2 Disdainful Sharks I cut because they're not running really 4 mana or higher cost cards in their deck, so there's no reason to have Disdainful Sharks, a useless card. I cut 2 Negates. Yes, Negate could counter, say, Maul, the Skyclave, or whatever, the artifact, but they're mainly creature based, so having Negate against 20 plus creatures or whatever it is, it's not going to be great. and then one Necromentia because, yeah, you're not going to want to draw Necromentia on turn 3 or whatever, or even later, turn 7. And what are you going to call? You're going to call a Selfless Savior to remove all Selfless Saviors, so it's useless against that matchup. So you bring in removal, take out the dead cards against mono white. Another deck you're going to see, obviously, will be Rogues. Rogues has been around the format ever since they came out. It's not leaving anytime soon until a rotation, so you're going to see Rogues. And since we're playing an 80 card deck, it's harder for them to mill us out, so that's good. We're running a lot of counter spells. We could counter their, Into the Stories, Drawn on the Locks, whatnot. So, but we do have a lot against Rogues just because it's such, that and Sultai Ultimatum are such the 2 big decks in the format, so we do have quite a bit against both decks. So I bring in Glimpse of Freedom because it's another escape card that we can exile our graveyard to make it smaller, so they're Drawn on the Lock and Into the Story are useless. Tested Talents I bring in because if I counter Drawn on the Lock, I get to remove all copies, so now they don't have counter spells against me. Or if I counter Into the Story, I remove all their draw power, so I bring in Tested Talents. Obviously, it's not good against their creatures, but I'm bringing this in for the 2 big instant sorcery cards in their deck. Or I should say sorceries. I bring in 2 Mystical Disputes because of the 1 mana counter spell. It counters pretty much their whole deck, except with the exception of Thief, Guild Enforcer, I believe is the 1-drop black creature. Other than that, every other card in their deck is pretty much blue, except also maybe Cling to Dust. But so it's a 1 mana counter spell. 1 Nightmare because it could kill almost all their creatures, and it could pick away their Drawn on the Locks or Into the Stories or whatnot. Exiles their graveyards, makes Loris weaker. So that's another good card to bring in. 4 Shark Typhoons because you could cycle this, they can't counter it, and then you can use it as blockers. It creates the flyers that you could block their flyers. Shark Typhoon times 4 is very, 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 very good against rogue decks. Then 1 Erebos Intervention because this acts as a removal spell or as I can use the secondary effect and exile my own graveyard. So if they try to, let's say if I play a spell, they try to Drown on the Locket, I can then in response use Erebos Intervention to exile my graveyard, so that way Drown on the Lock can't counter the card I'm trying to play. Or just straight up remove everything out of my graveyard and then play something like an Ugin or something like that, or reduce their rogue effects, their Drown on the Lock, Into the Story stuff. So what we take out against them is we take out 2 Disdainful Shrugs because outside of Into the Story, every card in their deck is 3 mana or less, especially since they're playing Loris as their companion, so it has to be. We take out 2 Negates because we're bringing in 2 Tested Talents. They have the same exact effect, but Tested Talents has the additional effect of being able to remove all other copies out of their hand and graveyard, deck, and whatnot. So that's the reason why we do that. 1 Necromentia is not good. I mean, you could use it to call out Into the Story, Drawn the Log, but I mean, I'm not spending 3 mana to do that. I cut 1 Ugin because it's an 8 mana cost card, and if I don't have my graveyard small, they're just going to use 2 mana to counter this. I cut 2 Solemn Simulacrums because it is, I mean, I like the ramp part where it gives me more lands, but they can just fly over and beat you down. That I cut it for a 4 mana card. I don't really like what it's doing. And I cut 2 Neutralizers because I'm already bringing in quite a bit of counter spells with Talents and Mystical Disputes. So I don't really need that many counter spells, especially since I'm have, Glimpse for Freedom. I have Shark Typhoon as blockers, kill spells, and Erebos. So I cut 2 of those. So that's what I do against rogues. We bring in more removal, cheaper counter spells, interaction against them. So that's what we do against rogues. Then other deck you'll see is going to be, red. Obviously you're going to see red, best of 3, best of 1, doesn't matter, you'll see it. So it's the same as the mono white deck. We're just going to bring in more removal and remove the dead card. So it's actually exactly the same. If you look at it, it's the exact same sideboard. We bring in the 3 Shadows Verdicts, 1 Erebos, 1 Elspeth's Nightmare. We cut the Strokes, Negates, and Necromentia. It's the same concept. They don't run anything big other than maybe, I mean, they run Embercleave and Torbrand, but so Disdainful Stroke technically has targets, but I'm not really trying to do that. If they draw those cards, they draw those cards. I'd rather have more removal than to be able to counter those cards if they have it. So, but it's the same concept. You're bringing in removal, taking out cards that might be useless. The final deck that I'm gonna give a sideboard guide to is gonna be the Temur Adventure, Temur Obosh, Temur Churns. I don't know what they're calling it nowadays, but that's the other deck. So, you know, they have 3 different names for it, whatever. I bring in one in Erebos Intervention. This is to kind of the reason why I brought this in is so I can deal with Edgewall Innkeeper on turn 2, because you only need 2 mana to do this. You do 2 mana will give it a -1/-1, so I could try to take away their draw's power. Obviously, it's removing the exile. I mean, the graveyard effect does nothing, but and then, you know, they're casting 5/5s and 4/3s, so you're paying like 5 mana to try to kill those. It's bad. The only reason I bring it in is literally for Edgewall Innkeeper, so I could try to kill it on turn 2 before they can start casting their adventure cards. 2 Shadowless Verdicts, because with the exception of Goldspan Dragon, every creature they play should be 3 costs or less. Also, I guess Obosh maybe, but that's just their companion. With the exception of Obosh and Goldspan, Shadowless Verdict should be able to take all copies or all their creatures in play off the board. 2 Tested Talents I bring in because I want to be able to counter. So obviously, if you counter the first half of the adventure cards, so the instant sorceries part, you don't get to take the other copies out of their deck because it's a creature in their deck. But the reason why I brought it in is so I could either counter Elrond's Epiphany, maybe their counter spells. Really, I mean, those are the 2 big ones, the Elrond's Epiphany or their counter spells, so then they can't counter any of your cards or take extra turns. But I also want to get the advantage of looking through their deck after sideboards to see what they brought in against me. Knowing what they have as either a win condition or what counter spells they have against you is going to give you a huge advantage already. And this card's not dead because they're going to play the first half of their adventure cards regardless. Either they're going to stomp you, they're going to try to make a 1/1 with Lovestruck, or try to bounce something with Brazen so you could counter it. And then you get to look at their hand and deck to see how they sideboarded it in against you. So that's why I bring it in, as well as, you know, countering Elrond's Epiphany and their Solid Coming and stuff like that. And that's why I take out negates, because I bring in Tested Talents. So I take out 2 negates because of that. I cut 1 stroke because, like I said, they're running 3 costs and less for the most part. But I leave 1 in because I still can use 2 mana counter Disdainful Stroke and Elrond's Epiphany. I cut 1 Necromancia because they're a creature-based type of deck. I don't want this against a creature-based type of deck. I really mainly want this against a control deck. And I cut 1 Cling because it doesn't really, they're not, both me and them don't really care about our graveyard, so I cut that. So I bring in removal and I bring in Tested Talents to get card advantage, both seeing their hand, counterspell, and their deck. So, but yeah, those are the 5 decks you'll be playing still. Obviously, StrixHaven is still new, so there will be eventually newer decks coming out or decks altering. But at the moment, in my opinion, StrixHaven has not been, with the exception of, I guess, the deck that creates the tokens and then it plays the plumbing or something like that. With the exception of that, the new cards haven't really been making that much of an impact, it looks like. I mean, in standard, I know in historic it's made quite an impact already. So this deck easily is, and this is it's been like 4 or 5 days now, a week or something like that, since the set's been released. I forgot what day it came out. So, and within a week or a span of the set releasing, this deck is still doing very good, undefeated against those decks. And even the other version where it's running no Kaldheim or StrixHaven cards and is still doing well, kind of gives you the feeling how underpowered right now it is compared to the old cards. Obviously, once the old cards like the adventure block, whatever, rotates out, then these Strixhaven, Kaldheim cards will become even more powerful. But at the moment, there's so many powerful cards from the older sets that it's kind of overshadowing the newer set. So, but yeah, give this deck a try. It's undefeated. It's a solid deck. I've used blue-black Yorions in the past, months, several months ago, to make Mythic top 1200, and it's been the deck for me to go when I'm trying to rank up on the ladder. It's the deck for me to go. When I'm having fun, I play whatever decks, but when I'm trying to actually go for top 1200, I use this deck to rank up. So hopefully it has the same success as it has for me so far. Let me know, drop some comments down below if you've tried this deck out. Let me know how you're doing with it, if there's changes you would make, if you want to add more Strixhaven or Kaldheim cards, stuff like that. Let me know what you would add, why you would add it, or something like that. But yeah, check the description of the video. I'll have the deck list in there. I'll have both Aether Hub so you can port it from your PC, and then also the text. So if you're on the mobile version of Arena, you can copy paste it also to your mobile version. So check the description of the video for that. But yeah, go ahead and drop some comments down below if you give this deck a try and all that. For all the new people watching, if you want to go ahead and subscribe so you can see my future videos, I'd appreciate that. Hit that thumbs up, that like button, the notification for all the people who've already subscribed and are constantly watching me. Thank you. I appreciate watching me, supporting me, and look forward to my next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.